Hi folks, in this video I'm going to show you how I made this trick or treat bag. I think it's super cute. It's completely unlined, so super quick to make. I don't have a serger, so I used a zigzag stitch on all my seams to inhibit fraying. I think it's going to work great. There's no reason to line a trick or treat bag. This one that I'm making now is actually lime green. Both fabrics are, they're almost identical, but I don't know what it is about the lighting in here. It's washing out the bright green, so it looks kind of grayish. I noticed too, even on this iron-on, that's Kelly green. It's got a grayish hue to it in this lighting. But I think I'm going to do the applique on this one in bright orange. So I had some 3-inch strips previously cut from another project, so I just cut them 17 inches by hand. These are for the handles. For the base, you'll need 2 pieces. Let's see, they are 2, 4, 6, 8 by 16 to go on your mat. That's front and back. And you have 2 pieces, front and back, 10 by 16. This is for the top of the bag. So these are the measurements before you put them on your mat for the maker to cut. In the file, you'll find that I've included both patterns with a gusset and without. So you just need to hide the parts that you don't need in your layers panel, so you can go ahead and cut these with your maker. So I hope you'll keep watching and see how I assemble these. So we're all set to start sewing. I've prepared my straps by pressing them in half and then bringing the sides up to the center and folding over. And I've prepared my straps this way. I'll just set them aside. Oh, I cut out this graphic, but I'm not sure if I'm going to use it. I might cut out something else. I tend to do that. It's kind of cute, but I may change my mind. So we'll just set that aside for now until we're ready to attach it. We have our printed fabric, and you want to remember to be careful if you're using a print that's directional. You don't want your pumpkins to be attached upside down on the bottom of the bag. So you want to be careful when you sew them. I've had the maker draw in my seam allowance. This is optional, of course. You can delete them from the file if you don't feel like you want them. You can go ahead and detach from the piece and then delete the seam allowance. That's completely up to you. I've done the same and had the seam allowance draw on my top green fabric. I really wish you could see how cute it is because it's a lime green. I wish that it would show up in the video, but the color doesn't show very well. But that's okay. We're still going to sew it. So let's get ready. I want to make sure that I'm doing this properly so that when I fold down, I'm going to put good sides together. And I want to make sure that when I fold down, I'm facing the right direction. So the pattern will be upside down on top of the bag. And we'll sew straight along here. I will show you what I've done on this one because I don't have a serger. What I've done is I did a straight seam first, and then I did a zigzag along the entire seam to inhibit the fraying, and then I did a top stitch to keep it nice and flat. So I'm going to do the same thing on this, and I'll be back to show you how it turns out. So I'm back and I've prepared both my panels, but before I show you what I've done, I wanted to mention that Even though I cautioned that you put your directional print in the right direction when you begin to sew, I went ahead and sewed mine upside down. So of course, out comes the trusty seam ripper. I wanted to mention what I did because those of you who are new to sewing, I want to say that we all make mistakes. So just persevere, get yourself a good seam ripper and press on. You can do it. This one I got on Amazon, and I love the eraser on it because you can just rub it on the threads after you cut them, and it will just pick up all the threads and pull them aside. So it's quick to clean them up and much easier than picking them all out with your fingers. So that's a good one. I got it on Amazon. It's called Seam Fix, and it was only a few dollars. So to show you what I've done both panels. The second one is the one that I sewed upside down and had to take apart. So this is the back side. You can see that I've done a straight stitch. Then I've done a zigzag all along my edges. And then I did a top stitch to finish it off to make it stay nice and flat. I hope you can see that. It's a nice clean finish. I don't think fraying will be an issue, and I don't see any reason to add a lining to it. So there's the top stitch all the way along, which keeps it nice and flat and straight. I've also, while I was pressing that, I pressed between each step so that my seams, my sewing, my stitches would be set. So I've pressed between each, the straight one, press, the zigzag press, and the top stitch press. I know it's a lot of pressing, but it's worth it because it really gives you a nice clean finish. So while I was at my ironing board, I pressed down the top so that seam allowance you see at the top is actually a press line that you want to do. So the next thing we're going to do is lay these good sides together. Make sure you line them up nice and straight. And if you've pressed the top a little different and they don't line up perfectly at the bottom, don't worry about it. Make the top line up. And if you have any overhang after, you can always trim the bottom. So we're just going to line that all up. All set. I'm going to sew down both sides and across the bottom. This one is a flat one. I'm not doing a gusset. So down both sides and across the bottom. I'm going to make sure that it's all nice and neat. If there's any extra overhang, I'll trim it off, or if I have any little fraying, I'll trim it all off, press it, and then I will do the zigzag again. So I'll be back to show you. And we're back. So I've sewn down both sides and along the bottom, and you can see that I also zigzagged to keep it nice and neat. So I did my straight seam, I pressed, did my zigzag, and pressed again to keep it nice and flat and clean. So I wanted to show you how I did the top. On the orange one, I zigzagged along the top to hold those folds down. I thought it was really cute. You don't have to do it that way. You can double fold if you want, so you don't have any raw edges. You can go ahead and double fold and just do a straight seam along the top, but I kind of like the zigzag. I thought it was kind of cute. It adds an extra element to it. I hope you can see it. There you go. So I thought that was cute. So I'm going to do that again on this green one. Press again. And oh, something else I want to show you. If you did the flat one and decided as you were going that you wish you had have done the gussets, it's no big deal. You can just open up the point on it, measure 1.5 inches, do a mark line along it, take your fabric pen or chalk and do a mark line and sew a seam right along, trim off that corner, and you'll have your square bottom. But that's a matter of whatever you want to do, just like the zigzag top. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. I think they're fine with just a straight bottom. It just depends what you would like to do to finish it off. So I'm going to zigzag the top, and then I'll be back to show you how I installed the handles. So we're all ready to install our straps. I showed you that I had cut 3 by 17 in black fabric. I pressed it to the middle in half, and then the bottom to the middle line, and the top to the middle line, and then folded in half again. And I have no idea why my camera is not showing green, but I've used bright green thread to make them a little more decorative. My ends are raw. I'm just going to trim them up. I don't see any need to do a big finish on the ends on a treat bag. So I'm just going to make them nice and clean before I attach them to the bag. Okay, let's make sure they line up. I'll center them so I get them both the same length. I want just a little to trim off. Do it that way. Okay, I'll trim just a little bit off of this one. Line them up. Ooh, and it's just going to be, just take a speck off of this one. We have a thread there I need to trim. Oh, it's loose. Okay. So I'll show you how I installed the straps. I really wish you could see this color. It's so cute. So I'm going to take my square ruler and I'm going to go 2 inches down and 3.5 inches in. That should be nice for the handles. So I'm just going to lay this here, nice and straight. Pick that up, and we'll put a pin in it to keep it in place. Make sure that you don't twist your handle. I've done that a few times. You don't want to do that because out comes the seam ripper again, and you have to clean that up. So you don't want to do that. Let's get that thread out of the way. Come on. There we go. It's a little neater. Okay, we'll do the same thing on the other side. We're going to go 2 inches down and 3.5 inches in. And we'll pin that in place. Nice and straight. That should be good. We'll flip it over. And now we can use this as our guideline to line up the second one. Once again, make sure you don't twist them. You can feel where the edge of your first strap is. But if you're more comfortable with measuring, we can do that too. We can go 2 inches down and 3.5 inches in. And I can feel the strap on the other side. So we can do that like this. Make sure it lines up. Just open that up. And we'll add another pin to keep it in place. Nice and neat. Once again, 2 inches down and 3.5 inches in. It should line up perfectly. There we go. I'll just add another pin to keep it in place. And that will be your handles. So what I'm going to do is sew across, diagonal, across, diagonal, and that will give me an X, which will hold the straps on really nice and tight. And we won't have to worry about the children running with the bag or swinging it around and losing all their candy. We'll make sure the handle stays on really good. So I'll be back to show you how that looks once it's done. And our sewing is done. I wish you could see the green, the bright green. It's so pretty. Handles are on. I just did an X, but they're super nice and secure. They're not coming off. If you're going to stop the video at this point, thank you for watching. I hope you'll like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm going to add an applique now to the bag, so I do hope you'll continue watching right to the end. I've decided I'm not going to use this one. I don't like it for this bag. I'll save it for something else. So I'm going to cut a different applique. I'm going to get out my easy press and my mat, and I hope you'll keep watching. And we're all set to applique the bag. I've decided to go with this pumpkin instead that says Trick or Treat. I think it's cute. I've cut it 5 by 5. I find a good size to fit on the bag. I did the same with the orange bag. I cut the applique 5 by 5. Our press is ready. So I'm just going to warm this up for a few seconds. That should do it. We're going to center our applique. I think I'll put it around there. That looks good. And we'll press for, and we'll press for 30 seconds at 315 degrees. I hope you're going to make some of these treat bags. I think they're really cute. I still wish you could see this bright green in this video. Unfortunately, it shows up as gray. I should have picked another color to do the video. There we go. We're just going to flip it over and press for about 15 seconds again. It doesn't take a lot of pressure. With the easy press, the heat is so well distributed that there's no need to be leaning into it or putting any excess pressure on it. There we go, 15 seconds. I'm going to take that mat away because it does its job and it reflects the heat back up. Just going to wave it around a little and let it cool off. It's not too bad. Have a look. There we go. Very cute. I'm very pleased with this one also. I wish you could see it. So there's my Halloween treat bags. 2 done. A whole bunch more to go. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope that you'll make some treat bags. Please post pictures if you do. Let us all enjoy what you've done. And thank you for watching.